Right now, officials in Palm Springs, California, are about to begin a press conference as it pertains to that deadly explosion outside a fertility clinic yesterday, which the FBI is calling an intentional act of terrorism. We understand that there'll be local authorities there representing that jurisdiction of Palm Springs, the Los Angeles field office representation of the FBI. Let's listen in right now.
I gotta admit, it's kind of weird standing on this thing, you know? Well, first of all, welcome to Palm Springs Police Department. We appreciate you taking the time to come and to learn about all the great things that the Bureau and our department has been doing. I'll introduce Assistant Director Akil Davis in a second. I did want to take a few seconds to recognize the many people who have given us an outpouring of support. From the Governor's office, we have over here Don O'Keefe and Director of OES. Thank you so much for taking the time to fly down today. We have Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz here also. We appreciate you coming, Dr. Ruiz, and your support. You've been on the phone with me for 2 days, and I sincerely appreciate that. In addition to that, we have Supervisor Manuel Perez, who is coming, and also, as you can see, all of our council members are here. This is Grace Garner, Councilwoman Grace Garner, Jeffrey Bernstein, and I saw David Reddy. Oh, there he is. David Reddy, Mayor Pro Tem Soto, and then City Manager Scott Stiles and Paul Alvarado, the Fire Chief. I want to turn this over. The most important piece of this is the great work that our partners from the FBI have been doing with our detectives, and I'm just so grateful, Akil, for your partnership. We've worked shoulder to shoulder on this, and I really appreciate all you've done. So time is yours as much as you like.
Thanks a lot, Chief. Good morning. As Chief Mills said, my name is Akil Davis, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles field office. I'd like to begin by thanking the public as well as members of the media for your patience as we continue through this lengthy investigation. I'd like to start off by saying, due to the speed and professionalism of the Palm Springs Fire Department, Station 1, the Palm Springs Police Department, as well as the FBI bomb technicians, we were able to save all of the embryos at this facility. Good guys won, bad guys zero. They understood the sensitivity and the precious nature of what was inside, and they took extreme care to ensure that there was no loss of any sensitive material. Again, I want to thank all the partners that have arrived here in Palm Springs to help us investigate this scene and ensure the continued safety in this community. I'd like to address the ongoing search in 29 Palms that many of you asked me about yesterday. I can confirm that we were executing a search warrant at that location in 29 Palms as a result of this explosion here. As has been reported, some residents were evacuated in the neighboring area as a practice of protocol and safety. We do not believe that there's an ongoing threat to the public in the 29 Palms area as a result of this investigation. As I mentioned yesterday, our efforts to positively identify the deceased individual here has been found. We are fairly confident that that subject is Guy Edward Bartkus, a 25-year-old from, again, Palm Springs, from, again, 29 Palms. This is the same individual that I mentioned yesterday. However, due to our investigation, we were keeping some of that information close hold, but we were now releasing it to you today. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force indicates that we believe he was the subject found near the vehicle. I also want to provide the vehicle information to you. He was driving a 2010 silver Ford Fusion sedan with license plate number 8, H as in Henry, W as in William, S as in Sam, 848. Again, that is license plate number 8 as in Henry, 8, H as in Henry, W as in William, S as in Sam, 848. That's critical because we need the public's help in identifying gaps in our investigation. We know where Mr. Bartkus was at about 6 a.m. We know the timeline of when he entered the city. However, we need the public's help for identifying where he traversed within the city before the explosion went off. We'll be providing a photograph of Mr. Bartkus, and it'll also be displayed on our social platforms. If anyone has information about this incident, I urge them to call 1-800-CALL-FBI, or we have created a tip line, which is FBI.gov/Palm Springs vehicle explosion. I again want to thank you for your cooperation as we get through this lengthy investigation. We plan on being out here for the next 24 to 36 hours investigating this large scene. I'd now like to turn it over to Chief Mills.
It goes without saying, at the end of this, we'll have opportunity for people to ask questions. Yesterday, a man intent on harming others in our city failed. Palm Springs survived, and we are stronger and more resilient as a result. Our determination to continue life as we know it here in Palm Springs continues unabated, and you'll see this city dynamically grow as a result of this. We have already begun to open the streets surrounding the blast site. Indian Canyon and Palm Canyon will be closed for some time as we still continue to collect evidence as well as process the scene. For the safety of the detectives and the agents working the area, we ask all community members to please stay out of the area. I am absolutely confident that this city is safe. There is no continuing threat to our community as a result of this incident. Now, let's get back to the business of rebuilding the city and continuing our tradition and way of life. This is a city of people celebrating life, and it's a beacon and a safe haven for all. And we really focus on inclusivity and a community that is welcoming to all people. This is where you want to be. Palm Springs is the place. And I think you're going to see that over the upcoming months. Lastly, I really want to recognize the IVF community. This has been one of those heartbreaking things for many community members who are going through the process of trying to build families. And we want you to know that this city is in your court, because those embryos that are there right now are going to be the future leaders of this community. And so we support you, we see you, and we want to be in your camp. And so please, as we continue to move forward, this is an opportunity for us to show the IVF community just how much we support them and we can do. I'm asking all people in Palm Springs, people who live here, people who treasure this as a home, get on social media and show how wonderful this city is. Take a photo of the best place that you would like to show the world what's going on and post it, because that's how special this community is. I'd like to turn over to Fire Chief Paul Alvarado.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. Paul Alvarado, A-L-V-A-R-A-D-O, Palm Springs Fire Chief. And at first I want to acknowledge the horrific incident that impacted our community yesterday. And my heart goes out to everyone affected. And I want to assure the community the effective and quick response that our firefighters took yesterday to make sure that we protected life and property. Our first arriving fire engine, Fire Station 1, arrived in less than a minute to begin extinguishing fire on the impacted building. Despite the building suffering structural collapse, this was nothing short of heroic, and I'm so proud of our firefighters. We'll continue to work and support with our law enforcement partners to make sure that the community gets rebuilt, our community is safe, and we continue to move forward. Thank you for your time. I'd like to invite Mayor Pro Tem Naomi Soto up to the mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, or good morning. It feels like afternoon already. My name is Naomi Soto. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem here in the city. Yesterday, Palm Springs experienced a tragedy. A person who wanted to instill fear in our community with an act of terrorism. This person may have caused damage to our buildings, but that person only managed to unite our community even more. We stand united against violence, against hate. Palm Springs is a city of love, acceptance, joy, and hope. I want to assure this community they are in good hands with Police Chief Andy Mills and Fire Chief Paul Alvarado and the brave men and women who responded immediately to the scene of the explosion. And to our partners at the FBI, who are doing everything they can do to find those responsible, we are in deep gratitude to you all. We also appreciate all our state and local partners who have reached out to offer support and resources, including especially Governor Gavin Newsom, Senator Alex Padilla, Senator Adam Schiff, Congressman Ken Calvert, Congressman Raul Ruiz, thank you for being here, State Senator Ochoa Bo, and Assemblyman Greg Wallace, and all of their staff who have reached out to us multiple times. Thank you to our city council members, our city staff, City Manager Scott Stiles. All of your effort means so much during this time of tragedy. And to our community members, I want to assure you that we are doing everything we can to help those injured and find those responsible. You are not alone, and we are here with you. To our business community and visitors, as Police Chief Mills mentioned, this is an isolated incident. Palm Springs is safe, and we are open for business. And let's bring the joy and fun of Palm Springs immediately back. Our City Manager, Scott Stiles, will now share more about the actions and alerts that you can anticipate from the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll be very brief, but just a few words, especially for our residents here in Palm Springs. We want to let you know that all of our city departments are working around the clock, 24/7, to be fully coordinated on everything we can do, from opening up streets as quickly as possible and to providing services and restoring services as quickly as possible. That involves all the coordination with our police department, our fire department, public works, who are all out there around the clock, and we will continue to do that. We hope to be opening streets up very soon as possible, and we'll continue to push that out. I do want to mention, especially for our residents, we've created a special landing page on our Engage Palm Springs platform, and that's where people can get all the latest up-to-date information that we're going to be putting out. So please go to that Engage Palm Springs website. Many of our residents are already watching it around the clock. The other thing I want to mention very briefly, with the horrific nature of this explosion, as you know, it damaged a great number of businesses and residential properties in and around the vicinity. We had our business teams out there yesterday going door to door to a lot of those businesses, a lot of those residential properties, and we're going to be moving forward as expeditiously as we can to doing everything we can to help them recover, whether it's waiving permits to get them up to speed, providing any resources, loans, grants, anything that might be available to people. We're going to be working on that with the greatest of speed. So we'll be continuing to reach out to them, and so we just want to thank all of our businesses, residents that were affected, and if you need to reach out to us, please reach out to us if you haven't spoken to us already. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the Assistant Director for any comments, questions.
Okay. Okay, we'll open it up for a few questions. Chief, did you want to?
Mark, did you have a question to start off with?
I would ask Scott and anybody else in the city, a lot of people were impacted by this mentally, people who came upon the scene and saw horrific things. Would the city necessarily make any resources available to help people or guide people as they try to emotionally recover from this incident?
Thank you, Mark. We've had some conversation about that. We know, especially even among our city staff that were on scene and may have witnessed stuff and seen stuff. We want to make sure that resources are available to them as well as other staff, and we will be working with our nonprofit partners, other people that provide services, and I would say more to come on that. We know this is a traumatic incident. We want to provide any and every resource that's available to people.
Chief Mills, is there anything you can tell us about the suspect in the state of mind? There was something posted about this online rambling for speed being received by IDS, and did you have something against it because of this conception of it?
Yeah, I want to be very careful how we respond, so I'd like to keep it under one roof, and I'll have Assistant Director Davis respond to that.
Thanks, Chief. So, yes, the subject had nihilistic ideations, and this was a targeted attack against the IDF facility. Make no mistake, we are treating this, as I said yesterday, as an intentional act of terrorism. So,
Is the
ma'am.
audio recording on the Pro Mortalist website, is that confirmed to be the suspect?
I'm not going to answer that at the time. Investigation's ongoing.
Are you aware of a possible manifesto about the investigation?
I am.
Planned attack for next week?
We are looking through that. We are tracking a possible manifesto out there, and it's part of our ongoing investigation.
And was this explosion being live streamed?
We believe he was attempting to live stream it, and yes, that is also part of our investigation.
Was it successful?
Sir?
Now, from NBC Palm Springs. Yesterday afternoon, we were contacted by an individual who was at the corner of Pachita and Palm Canyon at the time of the explosion. He was stopped at a red light there. He got out of his car to see if there were any victims. He didn't find any, but he did find evidence, which he took home with him. That evidence, he showed me, appears to be part of an explosive device, perhaps an accelerant or an exciter or something of a bomb. I told him to contact you folks. I'm wondering, have you heard from him? Did you get that device that you showed me? And secondly, how concerned are you that that device could in fact be part of this investigation?
So I'm not going to comment on who's providing evidence or who's providing tips. You guys can all understand that. We're receiving tips, hundreds of tips a day, and we're following up on all of them. As you guys can imagine, how large this scene is, there's evidence strewn all about in a 360-degree perimeter in several hundred feet in every direction. So we are collecting evidence all over from a whole host of sources.
If I can just comment on that.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
For those community members who have found pieces of what they believe is evidence, they really need to get a hold of us. You can call the local number or the FBI. This is unacceptable, and let's be really direct with that. If that person, if you could recontact them for us and let them know they need to turn it in.
I believe he's been in contact with you, and looking online this morning, the device is described as one that's commonly used as explosives. So,
Okay, well-
any further comment on that?
I mean, make no mistake, sir. This absolutely were explosives used in this incident. A large bomb went off in the city of Palm Springs yesterday.
This certainly could have been part of that evidence.
Could be.
When you
Yeah.
talk about this 25-year-old, was he already known to law enforcement, or was this the first time that he's popped up on your radar?
This is the first time he's popped up on our radar. Not to say that he hasn't had other contacts, but we are working with our locals to kind of vet that out.
And do you have an update on those 4 people, on their injuries, or what's the status of them?
Yeah, go ahead.
All of the people who were injured in the blast have been released from the hospital and medical care.
Thank you.
Can you speak to the scene in 29 Palms? What, I think some residents reported hearing an explosion there, possibly was there a controlled explosion or anything there, and have the perimeters been lifted as people enter their homes?
So it's an ongoing scene. I am aware of some of the noise that the residents were reporting on that. Some of that was due to us making entry into that residence and dealing with some of the material that we've come across there. But that's an active scene right now, and we're working through that. So I'm not going to comment further on the status of it.
Assistant Director,
Sir.
Mr. David Sackwater here with KCAL News. Thank you for taking the time to be here in Palm Springs. To clarify, you said the person who died in this explosion is Mr. Barkus. Is Mr. Barkus who you believe made this bomb and detonated it?
Yeah, so that's nuance there. So we are fairly confident that Mr. Barkus is our primary subject of suspect, person of interest. We are working through some other technical means to positively identify the decedent here, but we believe at this moment, based on the evidence that we've gathered, that that is Mr. Barkus as the decedent here.
Has Barkus' mother and family cooperating with authorities?
I'm not going to, no comment there.
Assistant Director,
Sir.
Robert Spear, CBS News. This Ford Fusion, 3,000 pounds, it essentially creates this 250-yard blast site. Talk about the device that was inside this vehicle. Rudimentary, sophisticated, and walk us through it.
And so there's a lot there that's still under investigation. What I can say is this is probably the largest bombing scene that we've had in Southern California. This does eclipse the bombing matter in Aliso Viejo. It's that big. And just for reference, to throw pieces of vehicle hundreds of feet in the air and then several blocks away, you can use your imagination to imagine how big that bomb device was.
Was this individual able to buy the products online? Did he have to use a special license, military grade? What was how he obtained the materials for the device?
And so that information is still part of our investigation, and in order to protect the integrity of it, I'm not going to comment on the how and the why yet.
My question to you is, since you said the large amount of explosives that was used in that vehicle, could it be that the suspect was outside the vehicle, maybe didn't expect it to detonate as much as it did? Could he not have intentionally tried to kill himself?
Yes, ma'am, that is a possibility, and our investigation will reveal. Sir.
Timothy Parker, Spectrum News 1. You mentioned that you believe this person was anti-IVF. How do you know that?
Based on our investigation, some of the posts that he's made online, some of the comments made in his manifesto that we're combing through right now, is kind of what led us to that nihilist belief.
It's Breaking News Channel 3. We had a reporter on scene at the 29 Palms area yesterday, and community members were telling her that there was an FBI presence there in the days leading up to that. Can you confirm that?
I cannot.
Okay, folks, that concludes this press conference. We're done, folks.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for
Appreciate
coming
it.
here.
Do we know if he was on the FBI's watch list yet at all whatsoever, or just some random?
All right, a lot of fascinating details there, and still a lot of gaps as a result of that explosion that took place outside a fertility clinic there in Southern California, in Palm Springs, California, there yesterday. You heard from the FBI special agent in charge who said it is the largest bomb explosion that has happened in Southern California history that he is aware of. Let's talk further about some of the details that we got, some of the questions that remain. We've got Josh Campbell with us and Senior National Security Analyst Juliet Kayyem. Good to see you both. So Josh, you first. A lot being revealed as it pertains to the suspect, or as the FBI special agent in charge said, still a person of interest. They've nailed down the identity of who they believe the deceased person is. They've got all kinds of apparatus now at 29 Palms, which is just about 50 miles northeast of Palm Springs, where he's believed to have lived. What more did you hear there?
Yeah, so we now have the identity of the person that they believed was responsible here. We had previously reported that the suspect was believed to be a 25-year-old male from 29 Palms. We hadn't provided the name yet, and I'll tell you why. That's because in talking to law enforcement sources, they described, as the head FBI agent there in Los Angeles just did as well, that identification is what they're describing as preliminary. And what that means is that there's additional testing that has to be done. I won't get too graphic, but I'm told from a law enforcement source that because of what that blast did to the individual, photo ID wasn't enough. So they're going to have to do some additional testing just to make sure. But they believe it is highly likely that the sole person who died there, the 25-year-old, was also responsible for this incident. Now, it's interesting to note that although we're looking at the crime scene there where it happened, there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes. We just heard the FBI appeal to the public that if you know this individual, if you saw this vehicle in and around the Palm Springs area, we need your help filling in these gaps. And that is because when you have an incident that occurs, authorities then work backwards to try to identify every single movement of this individual. There's no indication that he had left other devices, in other places, but that is something that they want to rule out. They want to have a full picture about where he was, where he went, as he led up to that location. He also, the FBI mentioning that he wasn't previously on the FBI's radar. In certain situations like this, we have seen the case where someone was under investigation. Perhaps there were complaints that were filed with law enforcement about someone from a concerned member of the public. Again, the FBI saying that the feds didn't know about him, but they're working to see whether local law enforcement did actually have any kind of previous holdings on him. And then the last thing I'll mention is this suspected manifesto. Now, what we had previously reported based on law enforcement sources is that the authorities were aware of a rambling audio recording that was posted online from someone who essentially said, I am going to target a IVF clinic. It's very rambly in this audio, which I've listened to. He basically says that he is anti-IVF, he is anti-life. I'm not a mental health expert, but talking with law enforcement sources, they believe that mental health issues may have played a role here, which is something that they will certainly be looking into. So again, we got a lot of new information right there, but there's still a lot of work ahead for investigators before this case is brought to finality.
Okay, Josh, thank you so much. I want to bring in Stephanie Elam into the picture, too. She was there at that press conference. And Stephanie, sometimes, of course, what is revealed is very fascinating, but what is not revealed, even that much more perplexing. Does it appear as though the FBI has a little bit more about the suspect or even details of this investigation that they're letting on at this time?
Yeah, Fred, it's definitely clear that they do have more leads, but they did not tell us all of them at this point. One of the questions that I did ask was whether or not the FBI was aware of this 25-year-old man before this incident yesterday morning, and they said that they were not. They are also looking into whether or not he was outside of the vehicle when it detonated, when this bomb detonated, or whether or not he was inside. They're still trying to piece that all together, along with this search warrant that they took care of yesterday afternoon in 29 Palms, but they are fairly certain that this is the person of interest here. What's also noteworthy is that they gave out the license plate number of this car because they're saying they really do need the public's help in identifying where this man may have gone. They know where he was at 6 o'clock in the morning, they said, but they're not sure of the movements that he made after that point. And think about it, that's 6 a.m., that's many hours until this bomb was detonated around 11 a.m. They also said that the area that has been encompassed in this bomb area is still quite large, and so they're still processing it. Some of the streets are still closed off. They're working around the clock, they said, to open those streets back up, and they're working with people. There's some residential homes there as well that are still impacted, and some businesses that they are working with to make the scene clear right now, but it's still not, as they're still working the scene, trying to get all of the information they can about how this played out yesterday, what were the motives, but also hearing that the fire department was on scene within a minute of that bombing happening yesterday, and we saw that one building that's collapsing in the middle there. As far as those embryos from IVF, they said they were able to save all of them, even though the building itself collapsed, Fred.
That, too, is very fascinating. All right, Juliet Kayyem, national security analyst, want to bring you into the fold, too. Josh said something that was very interesting about, how investigators will be working backward. That they have to figure out a lot about this suspect, this person of interest. At the same time, when you hear the special agent in charge at the FBI saying this is the largest explosion bomb, in Southern California, they also now have to work backwards about trying to figure out the components of this type of bomb, where these materials could have been retrieved. Explain how that will happen and why that's important in this equation.
Yeah, so this investigation will begin to look sort of familiar in terms of understanding the means, right? How do you get access to that kind of explosive material? Were there purchases made that should have triggered someone or a seller to notify? As well as why did he choose this IVF facility? So you're exactly right. We sort of know the end. It's likely him in the car, and they're going to have to identify him. We know the result, which is extreme damage. And now going back on the means, how did he do this side? Then on the motive, which I don't get to say this often. That was not only an effective press conference in terms of disclosing to the community what they knew at the time and what's going to happen next, and helping businesses in the community come back. But it was lovely in a way in which they dealt with this very delicate, highly controversial issue. Everyone's going to want the motive to satisfy their priors about IVF, and I think it was important that the FBI deputy director, as well as the the chief talked about the community that's impacted, those couples or individuals who want children. About 4 million children in the United States are born through IVF. They were careful with their language, using words like sensitive material, so rather than getting into the debate and speaking directly to the IVF community. These are labor and cost and emotionally invested procedures for women who are extracting their eggs, to learn that they're lost in an explosion, potentially a politically motivated explosion, would be devastated. And I wanted to acknowledge that in these times in which everyone sort of is satisfying one side or the other, I thought that the department was particularly sensitive because the motive is odd. He's described as what's called mortal, not moral, mortalistic. This is a phenomenon or an ideology in which the adherent believes that an individual should be able to choose life, and there are many suicides related to this. He apparently, we don't know the specifics yet, but would have chosen an IVF facility because of his criticisms of those who are affirmatively trying to bring life into their homes and into their communities. This is a perverse and toxic ideology, but the victims, of course, are the individuals and the couples and the women who wanted to bring life into this community. And I thought the sensitivity of not just saving the embryos, but also in speaking to the community is an important part of law enforcement, important part of our communities now, and I think goes to the expertise and sensitivities of what we've seen unfold over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, very delicate matter on so many levels. The American Reproductive Center, that's where it took place. It's a fertility clinic and an in vitro fertilization lab where this explosion took place.